将欲取之，必先予之。
统领全军，即刻赶赴大乡。
将百归，大乡就是你的葬身之地。
Tales of Herding Gods, Episode 65, Key Highlights. Episode 65 of Tales of Herding Gods is packed with major highlights. First highlight, the conversation between xianxia and Qinmu, the only hegemonic body in the world. Qinmu's overwhelming invincible aura directly intimidated Saintess xianxia. Second highlight, the straw-hatted figures carrying banners. Those figures wearing conical hats and carrying banners are none other than members of the Heavenly Saint sect. They are also the key factor behind the rebel army's decisive victory. Peak moment of the National Preceptor at Diankang Nation's Great Xiang City. The National Preceptor of the Diankang Nation faces over a dozen Divine Bridge Realm sect masters alone, along with 3 ancient monsters from the old era. This legendary scene will likely appear fully in Episode 66. Episode 65, Plot Breakdown. In the previous episode, the National Preceptor led Qinmu and the others straight into the rebel stronghold Great Xiang City, a true dragon's den and tiger's lair, where rebel forces and top sect experts from across the world had gathered. Qinmu initially planned to take his squad back to the Imperial College, but was stopped by the National Preceptor, who left him no room for discussion. Qinmu, however, did not sit idle and wait for death. He secretly mobilized his forces, located a gambling house inside the city, and revealed his identity as the sect master of the Heavenly Saint sect. He then issued an order. The 360 Hall Masters of the Sacred Sect were to bring their teleportation banners and rush over immediately. Confrontation with Saintess xianxia. Before the order could be carried out, it was interrupted by Saintess xianxia, who had been following him. She coldly questioned Qinmu. Doing this will drag the entire sacred sect into danger. If we help the Imperial Court, how will the sacred sect survive in the martial world afterward? We'll be hated and mocked by every sect, and lose all standing. Qinmu replied with a single sentence that displayed his authority as sect master. I am the sect master. My word is final. The sacred sect is the Heavenly Saint sect. What reputation is there to protect? Standing is earned by force. If we don't participate this time, the sacred sect truly has no future. Qinmu's reasoning was clear. By helping the National Preceptor eliminate the old forces, he could both weaken the enemies of the sacred sect and allow the sect to wash away its dark reputation through merit, integrating into the reform system of the Diankang Nation. Threats resolve and the hegemonic body revelation, xianxia declared that if Qinmu's decision endangered the sacred sect, she would act just like Granny Sai and beat Qinmu to death herself. She then suggested placing the hegemonic body 3 cauldrons technique back into the sect, in case the sect master died and the scripture was lost. Qinmu responded calmly, "You are not my opponent. If my judgment truly fails, you may try to kill me, but you will only be killed by me instead." The sword diagram behind xianxia stirred. She smiled. "How will we know if we don't try?" Qinmu clasped his hands behind his back and stepped forward, his tone filled with the loneliness of invincibility. "There's no need to try. At the same realm, no one can defeat me, not even the National Preceptor, because I am the hegemonic body, the only hegemonic body in the world." Even xianxia was stunned. That overwhelming aura truly shook her. She thought to herself, is this why the founder patriarch chose him instead of me? The gathering storm. The straw-hatted disciples grew from a dozen to several hundred, silently following behind the National Preceptor's group. This collective presence was nothing short of awe-inspiring. Finally, they arrived outside Great Xiang City. The Diankang Nation's elite army, led by the Wei Yong, had already assembled. Golden-armored warriors, flying sword cavalry, flame warships. The formation was magnificent, killing intent surging into the heavens. Yet the National Preceptor did not initiate battle. Instead, he led Qinmu and the other juniors directly toward the city gates. A show of force. The gates opened wide. On both sides stood over 1,000 celestial being realm experts, their true essence forming divine and demonic projections in the air. This was a deliberate show of intimidation. Inside the city, all buildings had been flattened. Tens of thousands of rebel cultivators formed battle formations, silently staring at them. The pressure alone was enough to break ordinary minds. At the city center, it was even more shocking. On elevated platforms stood more than a dozen sect master-level experts, some standing on the palms of 100 Jiang divine phantoms, others seated cross-legged upon their brows, looking down like true gods descending. Among them were Palace Master of Liking Palace, Sanqi Bao's Fort Master, Daoist Dao Quan, Grand Chancellor of the Grand Secretariat, Beggar Sect Master, eminent monks from major temples, former dynasty rulers, and 3 ancient monsters from the old era. The pinnacle of all rebel forces in the world was gathered here: teleportation shock and total annihilation. The national preceptor gave the rebels 2 choices. The rebel leaders arrogantly chose the second, believing they could kill him in direct confrontation. As the national preceptor struck, aiming at the mentally shattered Palace Master of Liking Palace, everyone assumed the sealed space battle shockwaves would instantly kill Qin Mu and the other juniors. But then a shocking reversal. At the critical moment, a great banner unfurled before Qin Mu and the others. With a single sweep, they vanished from the spot and were teleported to the foot of a mountain. Immediately afterward, hundreds of straw-hatted figures appeared, surrounding the city mountain and waving banners. With one command, the entire mountain, along with the national preceptor and all sect master-level enemies, was teleported to a distant wilderness battlefield. The original location was left as nothing but barren ground. The final massacre. Simultaneously outside Great Shang City, 360 pre-arranged banners unfolded together. Under their sweep, tens of thousands of Diankang Nation's elite troops descended like divine soldiers, directly into the midst of the unprepared rebel forces. Flames roared, flying swords rained down, war elephants charged. The rebels had no time to organize resistance. They collapsed instantly, turning the battle into a one-sided slaughter. Sanqi Bao's poisonous insects were burned before release. Liking Palace's female sword cultivators fell in droves. Watching from afar, the rebel leaders' courage shattered, their Dao hearts completely destabilized. The shocking revelation. Meanwhile, Qin Mu and Shen, Wan Yunyue, Qinghong Yunque, and Ling Nuo were escorted to another safe mountain peak by the Heavenly Saint sect. Hundreds of sect members removed their hats and bowed in unison. Greetings, Sect Master Holy Teacher. Greetings, Saintess. The Imperial College prodigies were utterly stunned. The Qin Mu, who attended classes with them every day, was actually a demonic sect master. The shy junior sister, Si Yun Xiang, was a saintess. Even the familiar Imperial College instructors were hallmasters of the Heavenly Saint sect. The Sword Hall Master coldly asked Qin Mu whether they should eliminate witnesses. Yunqi nearly collapsed in fear and immediately declared his loyalty to the sacred sect. Shen Wanyun and Yue Qinghong exchanged glances. They knew they had seen something forbidden. To survive, they also pledged allegiance. Qin Mu then kindly reassured them, "Don't worry, I'm here. When it's time to strike, be quick. Don't let them suffer too much." The group was terrified out of their wits. Of course it was only a joke. Si Yunxiang laughed and clarified, "But after this scare, these once proud geniuses of the Imperial College were now firmly bound to the war chariot of the Heavenly Saint sect." That concludes the full content of this episode breakdown. Thank you for watching. See you next time.